Welcome to Event Planning Training with the Office of Student Involvement and Leadership Development. Event Planning Training, or EPT, is where you will learn all the skills and strategies you need to plan great events for the students of Worcester State University. This year, EPT has been updated to reflect changes to policies and procedures as they relate to COVID-19 and making sure that we keep our campus safe and healthy while still providing fun and engaging events for the campus community. The most important thing to know when it comes to planning events is that we're not just leaving you on your own. Every single student organization is assigned a program coordinator, a member of the professional staff in the Office of Student Involvement and Leadership Development, who's here to help you along every single step of the way in order to make sure that you plan the best event possible. You can view the program coordinator list to find out which program coordinator is going to work with your student organization. Well, your advisor is someone who attends weekly meetings, helps you come up with ideas and plans for events, and attends those events. Your program coordinator is there to help you with the back-end paperwork, things like making sure the event clearance form is completed and contracts are done correctly. Your program coordinator is a valuable resource, so feel free to reach out to them with any questions that you have at any step of the event planning process. It's important to keep your program coordinator updated on anything that your student organization is working on, so they can help you make sure that all of the steps are being followed correctly. The Office of Student Involvement and Leadership Development, or OSILD, provides a variety of resources and supports for our student organizations. We are located on the second floor of the Student Center and are available Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. There are a variety of resources available for student organizations within OSILD. These include organization mailboxes, which should be checked weekly for updates and information, as well as hard copies of all of our student leader handbooks, Synergy, Synergy for Club Sports, and Synergy for Starting a New Student Organization. The most important resource that we have in our office is the Wall of Forms. This is where you can find any forms that you need to fill out for your upcoming events. This fall, we've created a website that includes links to virtual forms and online resources. The forms online include an updated event clearance form, request for purchase, and check request voucher combined form, as well as downloads of our gift card form, our fundraising form, and other important forms that you may need to access throughout the semester. We've also included a variety of resources, such as the planning calendar, a virtual copy of the Synergy Handbook, a virtual copy of the Advisor Handbook, as well as tips and tricks for the resource room and other resources you may need to access throughout the year. On average, an event can take 8 to 10 weeks to plan. This includes steps like brainstorming the event, making sure you have an event plan, publicizing the event, coordinating details, and everything else that needs to be done in order to ensure a successful event. This training will focus on the details that you need to know in order to complete steps 2 through 6 of the event planning process. New for events this year is determining your event modality. What this means is you need to decide whether or not your event will be held in person or online in a virtual space. Meet with your program coordinator early to determine how you are going to be holding your event. If you plan on having your event in person, your program coordinator will be able to share all available spaces with you. Keep in mind that this year, many spaces where programs traditionally happen have been changed to classrooms, so space is limited. Once you've decided on your event modality, you're going to want to determine your budget. This means you need to sit down as a group and decide how much money you're going to spend on all different aspects of your event. Everything from a speaker, performer, artist to food, giveaways, and decorations. If you determine that you do need additional funding, you're able to get that through co-sponsorships with other student organizations or offices, or by completing an additional allocation. An additional allocation is a form submitted to Senate when you need to ask for additional funds for an event or program. Senate will then determine your need and decide whether or not to award you these additional funds. Now that you've determined your event modality and how much money your event is going to cost, you are going to complete an event clearance form. New this year is our online event clearance form. This needs to be filled out for both in-person and virtual events. You can find this form online at lead.worcester.edu/forms. The event clearance form is the place where you include all information for your event. So if it's in person, where it's going to be, what time the event is going to be, what kind of setup your room needs, and for virtual events, the date and time, as well as any additional online information that you are able to provide. You need to provide as many details as possible. Depending on the event, your program coordinator might need to complete an additional form for approval with the university. More often than not, this will be for any in-person events. This form needs to be approved by your program coordinator prior to requesting any contracts or promoting an event. We recommend that you complete the event clearance form 3 weeks or more in advance of your event. The earlier you fill it out, the better. Once your event clearance form has been approved, you can move forward with the event planning process. For groups who are working with vendors, this means you are free to request contracts. The contract request process can be new for many of our students, so if you need help at any time, or if you need advice with how to work with a vendor or an agent, please feel free to reach out to your program coordinator. Agents should always be contacted initially on the phone. It's much easier to have a conversation with them than email back and forth. You can feel free to negotiate a price for services with your agent, and make sure that you don't make a verbal agreement unless you are 100% sure and have been approved by your program coordinator. Because of changes this year to campus programs, it's important that you have a discussion with the agent about any COVID policies that they may have. How are they providing a safe atmosphere? What requirements do they need from us? Is there a rescheduling policy or a cancellation policy if the university is to close or to reduce the amount of people who are at an event? You can feel free to reach out to your program coordinator and involve them in this conversation. Once you've formally requested a contract from a vendor or an agent, please send this contract to your advisor and meet with your program coordinator to review all of the contract details and determine what we can and cannot provide. Worcester State University does require that we complete a contract rider, which protects the university from things that might not be listed in the vendor's contract itself. In the case that your vendor does not have their own contract, we do have blank contracts that can be filled out. Some important things to remember is that no payment is made until services have been completed. It's important that your vendor knows this. New this year, we are also not accepting any contracts that are more than $2,500. These will not be approved, so work with the agent to make sure that you can stay within a budget of under $2,500. Also for this year, we are not accepting any new vendors. A full list of our approved vendors can be found on lead.worcester.edu/forms. Now that your contract has been requested and completed in the event that you needed one, now it's time to work on those additional event details. One thing that all student groups love to have at their events is food. Our food process is going to be a little bit different this year. Your first step is to determine what food you would like at your event and how much money you'd like to spend. Once you've determined that budget and your food order, you are going to ask for a quote from catering. You can email them directly at catering@worcester.edu. This email request should include the items as well as your anticipated budget, and make sure to CC your program coordinator. Once a representative from catering has emailed you with a final quote, please make sure to submit a request for purchase as soon as that quote is received. Some food orders may need additional approval, so we want to make sure that this process happens quickly. The request for purchase can be found on lead.worcester.edu/forms. This is also the time when you would complete the OSILD promo form. This promo form is where you would fill out any information you have for your event. Completing the OSILD promo form means that your event will be included in OSILD Weekly, which is emailed out every single Monday to all students. It will be included in the Lancer News, which is printed and hung around campus, and it will be included on all OSILD social media. Lastly, if you need to place any orders for your event, for things like t-shirts, giveaways, or any other items you may need, it's important that you fill out a request for purchase. This can be found online. Orders always take a little bit of extra time, so make sure that you complete this well in advance of your event date. Now that you've completed all the necessary paperwork, it's time to start creating your advertising. We encourage all groups to come up with a promo plan. This can include social media promotion, posters, flyers, word of mouth, any way that you can get the word out about your event. If you need to make copies of any of your flyers or print posters, you would do so at the resource room. You can email any requests to resourceroom@worcester.edu. Copies of flyers and posters will be delivered to your mailbox within 72 hours of your request. If you've already designed and printed a flyer and just need to make copies, you can drop off a copy in the resource room mailbox in the wall of forms located in OSILD on the second floor of the Student Center. All copies are free for student groups. Posters are a small fee which can be charged to your student organization. There are a few final steps to make sure that your event is successful. For in-person events, the first thing you need to do is make sure that you recruit volunteers because you're going to need help at your event. Once you have your volunteers, make sure they know what time to arrive to the event. New this year, you're going to need to make sure to pick up our new COVID event kit. This kit includes cleaning supplies, signage, as well as a sign-in list, and you're required to use this for any in-person event. If supplies are running low in the kit, please let us know and we'd be happy to replenish them. You can pick up the event kit 15 minutes prior to your on-campus event in OSILD. A sign-in list is included in the COVID event kit in order to help the university with contact tracing. In the event a student does test positive for COVID-19, we want to make sure that we can find any students who may have interacted with them. This sign-in sheet should be turned into OSILD at the conclusion of your event. If you're hosting a virtual event, please make sure to log in early in order to prepare your online space. Also, make sure you share your Zoom link with those students who are attending. Following your event, there are a couple things that we would encourage you to do. First, we hope you evaluate your event. Talk with your group members about what went well, what didn't, whether or not you would bring the event back, and make sure to jot these notes down for the future. Also, make sure that your treasurer completes any of the necessary financial paperwork. The important form here is the check request voucher, which also can be found online at lead.worcester.edu/forms. There are a few last-minute tips we want to give you for certain events. First of all, movies. In the event you are having an on-campus movie showing, make sure you talk with your program coordinator to make sure that you purchase the rights to the movie. Groups that are planning on having a fundraiser or a raffle, make sure you complete a fundraising form ahead of your event. By completing a fundraising form, we can make sure that you have a cash box in order to collect funds. Any money that you raise in a fundraiser goes right into your organization's line 99 and can be used for a variety of different purchases. If you're interested in holding a raffle, that does take a couple extra steps, so you'll have to work with institutional advancement. Your program coordinator can help you with that. Gift cards are a great prize to give away at different events. In order to purchase a gift card, you do need to complete a request for purchase and a gift card form at least a month in advance. You'll also notice we didn't really talk about trips during this training. This year, unfortunately, we're not able to go off campus, so no trips will be planned. And that's all you need to know for event planning training. We know this year might be a little challenging, especially with new policies in place and new procedures that you have to follow. But it's important to remember that your program coordinator and the Office of Student Involvement and Leadership Development is here to help you. So if at any time you have any questions about anything, please let us know. You can reach out to your program coordinator directly, or you can email us at studentinvolvement@worcester.edu.